Welcome back to Campfire Tales, where the fire falters and the night weaves stories that sear the soul. I'm your host, beckoning you closer to the campfire to unravel tales that make you fear kitchen shadows. Tonight we peer into the ghastly tale of the Lady in the Oven, a bone-chilling urban legend that's haunted hearths for decades. You might have heard it whispered, warning against ovens that hum with grief. Where did it come from? And why do its flames still burn our fears? Let's face the terror together. Settle in, but keep the flames near. In a crumbling Detroit neighborhood where streetlights flickered through fog lived Mara, a baker who kneaded dough in her little bakery. Local legend whispered of an old oven hidden away in her building, its iron door etched with faint scratches, cursed by an angry spirit. Mara, not prone to curiosity, dismissed the tales, her ovens her only muse. One rainy night she was cleaning the front of the bakery. As the city hummed with distant sirens, she heard a low wail from the kitchen, like a woman sobbing. The air reeked of charred bread and something fouler, burning despair. Compelled, she followed the sobs into the kitchen. Mara noticed a strange old oven that did not belong in her kitchen. Curious, she opened the oven, its door groaning, to find it cold yet glowing faintly, as if lit from within. A raspy voice whispered, "Look at what they did to me." The room quaked, the lights went out, and shadows swirled, forming a charred woman with hollow eyes, her hands clawing the air. Mara gasped and stepped back in horror as the charred woman shambled towards her with arms outstretched. "Look at what they did to me," she said yet again in a raspy wail, the walls seeming to quake once more at the force of the apparition's rage. Mara kept backing up as the charred woman got closer, till she felt the wall on her back. She took her eyes off the charred woman for only a second as she glanced around for an escape, but it was too late. The woman grabbed her, causing Mara to look at her dreadful face once more. Terrified, Mara tried to scream, but the burning stench and smoke choked her, making it impossible to scream. "Look at what they did to me!" she screamed in Mara's face. Mara coughed, trying to catch her breath as smoke filled her lungs and her flesh burned. The room seemed to shrink around her, till it was no bigger than that of the oven. Flames lashed at her, melting her skin. Mara screamed, begging to be let out. She could see figures standing outside the oven, laughing as she begged for freedom. As Mara's vision began to darken, she heard the charred woman's voice once more, barely an anguished whisper. "Why did they do this to me?" Suddenly the lights came on, and Mara was being shook awake. "Mara, are you okay?" her sister asked, examining her for injuries. Mara looked around confused and scared. She lay on the floor of her bakery's kitchen. Her sister felt Mara's forehead. "You're so pale and you're burning up. Let's get you upstairs to bed. You have overworked yourself to the point of being sick." Mara tried to tell her sister what had happened, but her throat was dry and cracked, making it hard to speak. So she let her sister guide her upstairs to their apartment above the bakery, noticing the cursed oven was no longer in the kitchen. By dawn, Mara's hands shook. Her dreams had been plagued by the figure's wail and the burning flames of the oven. She tried to return to work, but her loaves crumbled to ash, their crusts etched with claw-like marks, each time she tried to remove them from the oven. There was no peace for her now when she baked. Her sister and nephew, sharing the apartment, woke to find deep gouges in the walls, and the air thick with a scorched stench. The oven's wail followed Mara, echoing from the walls, and shadows danced, mimicking the charred woman's form. One day, one of Mara's regular customers came into the bakery, an elderly man she had known for several years now. He regarded her carefully, and then said in a hushed tone, "You've seen her." Mara's head whipped up quickly, eyes wide with shock. The elderly man told Mara about the baker who once ran this bakery when he was a boy, a sweet old lady who everyone loved. One night, a group of drifters came to town. They broke into the bakery, finding the old lady baking bread. They threw her into the oven with her loaves of bread. They watched as she begged for her freedom. They were never caught, and still to this day the old lady wails for a justice that will never come. Mara tried to keep the bakery going, but the hauntings tormented her and her family daily. One night it became so bad that Mara, her sister and nephew fled the building, leaving behind all of their belongings. They left the city never to return. The building fell into decay. The neighborhood again fell silent, but some say the oven still lingers, luring bakers to peer inside. That's the ghastly tale of the lady in the oven, rooted in 1970s American urban legends. Born in decaying city apartments, it spread through whispers of haunted kitchens, chilling tenants from Chicago to New York, each glow a trap for the unwary. In Russian folklore, a chilling tale haunts. The Domovoi's curse tells of Irina, a baker in a snowbound Siberian village, where her izba's stone hearth glowed faintly, its bricks etched with faint scratches. Locals spoke of the Domovoi, a household spirit guarding the home, turned malevolent when a family neglected its offerings, its wrath tied to a widow's death in the hearth. Irina, desperate to feed her son Yuri, ignored the warnings, stoking the hearth. One frozen night, as wolves howled, the flames flickered blue, the air thick with ash and frost-bitten flesh. A rasp whispered her name, cold as ice. Compelled, Irina peered into the hearth, and shadows formed the Domovoi, a small bearded figure with black eyes, its hands clawing the air, leaving singed scratches on the bricks. Irina's breath caught, tormented by the Domovoi's rasp and clawing hands. Her baking tools warped, their handles etched with scratches, and Yuri woke to scratching on his window. The hearth's hum followed Irina, its ashes swirling unbidden, shadows swaying like the Domovoi's form. Yuri found a scorched mark on his door, its edges curling like fingers. An elder spoke of the Domovoi's curse, sparked by a widow's death after her family's neglect, her spirit merging with the spirit to haunt the hearth. Irina offered bread to appease it, but the hearth flared, the izba's walls creaking with frost. Yuri's screams woke her, claiming a voice rasped from the chimney. Desperate, Irina doused the hearth, but flames surged, the Domovoi's rasp echoing. Irina and Yuri fled, their cries lost in the blizzard as the izba burned. The village shunned the sight, but some say the hearth still glows, luring the unwary to peer inside. In Japanese folklore, another tale terrifies. Kuchisake-onna's Hearth tells of Aiko, a cook in a Tokyo tenement where a rusted stove glowed faintly, its surface scratched with jagged marks. Locals whispered of Kuchisake-onna, a woman whose mouth was slashed by her jealous husband, her spirit haunting kitchens after burning his possessions in a stove. Aiko, cooking for her daughter Chiyo, dismissed the tales. One rainy night, as neon buzzed outside, she lit the stove, its flames flickering green, the air thick with burnt silk and blood. A hiss whispered, "Am I pretty?" Compelled, Aiko peered closer, and a figure emerged, a woman in a tattered kimono, her mask falling to reveal a mouth slashed ear to ear, her eyes gleaming white. Aiko froze, stammering, "Yes," her voice trembling. The figure hissed, "Even now," and lunged, her claws grazing Aiko's cheek, leaving a burning mark. Aiko stumbled back, scattering salt to ward her off, but the stove flared, shadows writhing like the woman's grin. Chiyo screamed, seeing the figure in the kitchen doorway, her slashed mouth dripping in the neon light. Aiko grabbed Chiyo and fled to the crowded street, the hiss trailing them, mirrors in the tenement fogging with grinning faces, their mouths bleeding faintly. At dawn, Aiko and Chiyo returned, scared but determined to reclaim their home. Upon entering, they saw pots warped, scratched with jagged marks and scorched marks on the walls, the edges curling like a smile. A neighbor spoke of Kuchisake-onna's curse, tied to a fiery rage, luring cooks to answer her question. Aiko boarded up the kitchen, but the stove's hum persisted, the tenement's walls creaking with heat. Chio's screams woke Aiko nightly, claiming a woman hissed from the mirrors. Aiko and Chio fled the city, their cries lost in the neon buzz, but some say Kuchisake-onna's stove still glows, hissing for those who answer. Why do these tales endure? It's the dread of unseen spirits, the urge to linger near cursed hearths. Kitchens, places of warmth, hide traps for the unwary. From American apartments to Siberian isbas and Tokyo tenements, these stories warn. Some flames burn beyond the grave. Next time your stove hums, think before you linger. That's all for tonight's Campfire Tales. If this story seared your nerves, share it in the comments, or tell us a creepy tale from your hometown. Next time, we'll unravel the crying child, a haunting legend that'll make you fear distant sobs. Until then, keep the fire burning, and don't open strange ovens.